Foreclosures, estate sales, fixer-uppers, they're hidden in plain sight. I'm talking about affordable homes. They're all across America, every city, state, county, municipality, you name it. But oftentimes they're hidden in plain sight. In this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to locate them and how to look at that price and how to look at those days on the market and how to look at that condition to know, will it go FHA, will it go conventional? How do you get those loans? Can you buy it with no money out of pocket, like the new FHA loan program you've heard me talk about? For nearly 30 years, I've helped thousands of people purchase their homes and sell their home, and I share that with you so you can have the confidence knowing that what you learn from me is actual tried and true boots on the ground experience. So listen, grab a pen and a piece of paper. You're going to want to take notes. So now that all the moratoriums have been lifted, in other words, the federal government says you no longer have to hold back on your foreclosures. The bank have taken a lot of properties back. They haven't taken properties back. Now the properties that they've taken back, they're going on the market, VA, FHA, conventional, you name it, and they're being placed on the market. The quickest way to find those is go to findmyforeclosure.com. That is a paid site. Another way is just driving for dollars. Just get out and drive around, look for vacant properties, empty properties, get out and always talk to the neighbors if you see one that's empty. Another good way is to communicate and have a real estate agent working for you on your behalf. If I have a real estate agent working for you, you have to understand that agent is going to be paid by the bank. That agent is going to be paid by the seller. Bottom line is, real estate brokers look out for your best interest, and they're compensated and paid by the homeowner that owns the property. So when they put the home on the market, they're kind of in the mindset of, well, if somebody brings me a buyer, then I'll pay them. And that's how real estate brokers get paid. So it's important to have somebody in your corner that you trust, that you're comfortable with, and most importantly, has the years of experience. Now you have to know that there are homes out there that are affordable. Unfortunately, just because they're affordable, like this home I'll walk you through, it's $174,900. It's in Covington, Louisiana. It's on 2 acres of land. It's completely quiet and private, which is really nice. However, there's certain things like that broken window that will not allow this home to go FHA. And so if you want to go FHA with a 3.5% down, or you can do FHA with a little to no money down, you could do USDA on a home like this if you're 30 to 40 miles outside major city limits. But you just have to know when you pull up on this property and you're approved for that type of loan, you know that that window is broken. And so oftentimes on a home like this, it is a foreclosure. The bank will not fix those items. You also see a little bit of rotted wood. Unfortunately, it can be something as simple as a $200 or $500 fix, but it kind of rules you out. That's why I say you can do a conventional loan and put 5% down. And when you do 5% down, they're a little less lenient because you're putting money down on the property. So they don't look at it quite as close when it comes to the inspection and the appraisal on the property. Now, don't get me wrong, you do not need a real estate agent to buy a piece of land or any kind of real estate whatsoever. You can do it solely on your own. But it's also important to know that oftentimes, more than not, real estate agents have connections with properties that are about to go active. Like my team and our staff and our whole crew across the country, at any given time, there are thousands of properties that we have on our desk that are not active yet because the homeowner has called us out, we've met with them, and they said, we're going to put it on the market next week. Maybe you're one of them, or we're going to put it on the market next month. If so, reach out to us. We can help you. Go to contactwayne.com. Feel free to book a call. The point I'm trying to make is there's inventory out there with agents. You don't have to have an agent, but it will benefit you because oftentimes, and maybe you have seen this, if so, give me a thumbs up where it's like, man, I didn't even know that home was even going to go on the market, or I've been looking at that home for a while, or I was wondering about that home as vacant. That went on the market, and as soon as I called it, it was already sold. Yeah, because that agent had a connection. That agent's being hired to sell the property, and that agent's going to reach out to that bank of people that have already reached out to them that are ready to buy. But look, the first thing you got to do before you get ready to buy is to make sure your money is right, and you've got to get your finances in order. And I know that can be a stressful thing because I talk to people consistently all the time, and I have to ask them, what is your income? What are you making? Are you approved? Have you talked with the lender? Are you going to be paying cash? How much money do you have to put down? What do you make gross on your monthly income before taxes? Are you 1099? Are you self-employed? These are the things that you need to know as a buyer, whether you live in a home, you're going to sell a home, move up to another home, or you're just looking to buy a foreclosure. The quickest and best way to do that is to connect and communicate with somebody like myself or anybody that's educated and knowledgeable to the business. You can book a call with us, one of my team members, or myself sometimes, by going to contact Wayne. There's no cost, there's no obligation. We just feel like we can connect you with an agent. Now, if we connect you with a broker and connect you with an agent and you buy a house and it's a win for you, that's how we make a living. Full disclosure, that's how we make a living. But at the end of the day, it's most important for anybody before they go out and look and make an offer on a home that they get approved. Because once you're approved and you have that piece of paper, it's literally like having cash. When you make an offer on a home and you want to make sure you get the best deal on that home, you always want to make sure you have that approval letter submitted with your offer. Whatever you do, don't be afraid to find a home and make it the offer. And you have to look at the days on the market. A good little tip is if a home has been on the market for 100 days, don't be afraid to make the offer. So oftentimes in our mind, we think, it's been on the market 100 days. I don't want to buy that property. That sucker's been on the market 2.5 months. What's wrong with it? Why didn't anybody else buy it? If it was so good, how come it didn't get snatched up? Listen, let me tell you, the number one reason why homes don't sell, the number one reason, and it's been this way for decades, is price. There is an ass for every seat. But if the price isn't right, people aren't going for it. I don't care if it smells like cat pee like this one or cigarette smoke. That's the smell of money, because those are the don't wanters and the people that don't want those homes. But you have to understand, just because a home has been on the market for a while, don't let that scare you, because if it's been on the market for a while, that's a good thing. Then you can look at, well, where did they start at the price? Did they start at $275 and now they're at $235? Make them an offer for $200. Listen, always remember, the answer is always no unless you ask. You have to understand that when you buy foreclosure, you're buying them as is, but you also reserve the right to do a home inspection on the property. Once you do a home inspection, they're not going to fix anything. They don't even want to turn on the water, the electricity. They winterize them. They blow chemicals through the pipes so the pipes don't freeze. But I always tell people, you never know how long that property has sat vacant before they winterized it. That's when you got to talk to the neighbors, because the neighbors across the street or next door will say, Wayne, that home has sat vacant for 3 years. And if you're in an area where you've had some hard freezes, it's not a matter of if, it's they did freeze. And I'm talking about the pipes, because once the water's in the pipes and it freezes, they're going to bust. They won't connect any of that. However, you can have it connected temporarily. The gas, the water, the electricity, you can do an inspection, but just know they're not going to fix anything. But at least you'll know by doing that, should you move forward with the property or cancel the sale. Now I'm going to walk you on the inside of this house. You can actually see on the inside of this one. But one thing you have to know, that when you're looking at a property on the outside, this one's on 2 acres of land. You can see, I'm not going to go trekking through the woods, but you do want to get a survey. The banks, when they put a home on the market and it's a foreclosure, estate sales are the same. When they put a home on the market, they haven't lived in the property, meaning that the heirs, mom and dad, have passed away, grandparents have passed away, and so the property wasn't owned by the people who now own it. So they're exempt from filling out that 11 to 12 page property condition disclosure form that talks about flood zone and has the home ever been struck by lightning and does it hold water and does house electric on it. Foreclosures are the same way. That's why it's so important to do a home inspection that runs you $400 to $500. But you can see a property like this. You can also get a survey by talking to the listing broker. You can also get that by going to the Register of Deeds office, because you can see, just looking around, you don't know where the property begins and where it ends. But if you got a piece of paper, that plat map will show you where the property is located, and you can get you a metal detector and go from point to point, because there's still stakes in the ground, and those steel stakes will show you where the property begins and where it ends. And you can walk the property and you can see the lay of the land. It will also show you, most of the time, the flood zone of the property. But please, if you learn anything, learn from my mistakes, and that is, there's chiggers, fleas, ticks, neighbors' dogs, rotted wood, termites, bees, you name it. So it's a good idea when you get close to a property like this, once they've sat desolate, you're going to find and see all that stuff. So you got to watch your step, always look up, look around. I've seen snakes in trees. I've almost stepped on alligators, you name it, the whole gamut. I just share that with you because last thing you want to do is walk around a property and get ate up with chiggers so bad. Give me a thumbs up if you've had that happen, where you got to soak in a bathtub full of bleach. You don't want that to happen. Now, as we walk through this property, you have to understand, everything always looks better on pictures and video, and different strokes for different folks. Some people walk into a home and they're like, I'm okay with that. Some people walk into a home and like, I don't want 8-foot ceilings. I don't want real old ceilings. I want higher ceilings. And some people are like, well, I'm going to buy it to put my sister in it. I'm going to buy it for an investment. I'm going to buy it to Airbnb it. Although when you Airbnb properties, full bath there, when you Airbnb properties, you have to know that a lot of cities, a lot of states, a lot of county and parishes, New Orleans, one of them, you can't do an Airbnb anymore. So don't think you're going to buy that property and then turn it into an Airbnb and make $100,000 a year off of it, because oftentimes the city won't allow it. You also have to know that when you get approved, you have to tell the lender what type of cash you're going to be putting down, if any at all. Because if you don't have any cash to put down, you're going to need the seller to pay your closing cost, which is a good thing. Nothing wrong with that. The seller can. We negotiate it all the time on properties because it's hard to come up with that cash. It's hard to save that money. And if you have it and you buy in a house like this, if the bank or the seller, whoever it may be, will pay your closing costs, you can keep out some of your cash to do some fix-up and repairs. During your due diligence period, you have 10 to 14 days to do your inspection. And listen, you have to move quick, because oftentimes, especially banks, they will not give you an extension. That contract is set, it's there, 14 days, and unfortunately they don't care. So you got to kind of get your ducks in a row, so to speak, and go, okay, this property's on a well, or it's on a septic, it's on a well and a septic. Who do I call? How do I get that lined up? And you got to move quick. Because once electricity's on, you got to get them out there immediately, because they're going to inspect the well, they're going to inspect the septic system, make sure everything's in good working order. And if it's not, they can tell you what it's going to take to fix the property. That way you can kind of know to move forward, to cancel the contract. Or you never know. Every bank is different, and it's okay. Once again, the answer is no unless you ask, to ask them for the repairs. Oftentimes you can ask them for the repairs and the banks will say no. Sometimes they'll fix them, sometimes they won't. Sometimes real estate agents will tell you that the bank says no. We have some of those, or we have listed some foreclosures and the bank's like, we're not fixing anything. It is as is, where is. However, they'll give you a good deal if you walk in with cash. And that's why I tell people, if you can get with a hard money lender, you can borrow money that way. If you borrow money, do a hard money loan, cash, and can close quick, you can get a really good deal on a home. Now, a question you should ask is, where am I going to get cash and how am I going to get cash? And bottom line is, have hard money lenders. And the hard money lender is going to loan you money, but they're going to want you to have a little bit of money on your own, typically 10 to 20%. So if you've got a little cash set aside, that's how these investors are able to snatch up a lot of these properties. It's not so much they have the cash laying around, some of them do, but some of them just have hard money lenders. In other words, these are like payday money loans, they're hard money lenders. You can Google hard money lending in Atlanta, Georgia, or whatever city you may live in, and they're gonna pop up and you can call them and just pick their brain and say, what's the process? I wanna get into flipping property. And if you're looking at an $80,000 or $100,000, we just sold one, $85,000. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath little house, pay cash for it. Pearl, it's going to be great, $140,000 fix up after it's done, and it'll be like brand new. But the hard money lender is going to loan you the money to fix up the property. Once the property's fixed up, you can then go to a bank, a mortgage company, and they'll loan you 80% of the new improved value. So let's say you bought this home for $200,000. You put $225,000, $230,000 in it, and then it's worth $300,000. Or they're going to loan you 80% of that, which is more than enough to cover all of your repair costs and then some. That's how people take cash, borrow money against a home, fix it up, and then they go to a bank and say, listen, here's my income, here's my credit, here's my taxes. Can I afford to pay this much per month? Now, you just got to know that going in. It's like, okay, well, I'm approved for $280. I can get a loan for $280. A hard money lender is going to give me 80%. I got to come up with the other 20%, and we're going to take and fix this property up. Once it's fixed up, I can pay that hard money lender back, refinance the house, and I get all my money back. Now, keep in mind, I tell people, it's not the cost of the money, it's the availability of the money. So don't be surprised when they tell you the interest rate on the hard money loan is 20%. But remember what I always say, it's not forever, it's only temporary. And at the most, it may be for 3 months. And when you figured 20% interest for 3 months and you're still gonna make a profit, that's a win. We are seeing more foreclosures, but that does not mean it's the end of the housing market. That doesn't mean we're going to see a housing market crash. All of these guys and gals that say the sky's falling, take it from me, 30 years in this business, the housing market ain't going to crash, and here's the reason why. For 13 years, from 2009 to 2022, mortgage interest rates never went over 5.25%. You have 67% of the people that have a mortgage have less than a 5.25% interest rates. Bottom line is, people have affordable payments. They have comfortable payments. They bought a $250,000 home and they're paying $1,400 a month. Where are you going to go rent for that? It's not so much the supply and demand, it's the demand and the supply. You see, until we have a crazy oversupply of homes on the market, we're not going to see a housing crash. And the way we are right now in most parts of the United States, the market is stabilized. In a stable market, you're seeing anywhere from 4.5 to 6 months of inventory. In other words, if not another single home is listed for sale in that multiple listing area, in that county per se, over the next 4.5 to 6 months, then the market would absorb that. And if that's the case, that's a neutral market. Anything less than 4 months, bottom line is, it's a seller's market. If it's over 6 months, it's a buyer's market, because the longer the home stays on the market and the more homes there are available for sale, there's not as much bidding wars going on. When there's fewer homes on the market for sale, there's more competition, more people wanting to buy those homes, and the prices go up. The reality is, buy the house if you're comfortable and you want a house. If you're paying rent, you are paying 100%. I talked to a gentleman the other day, he said, Wayne, I've been renting for 12 years. Talked to another guy, says, I've been renting for 30 years. Another gentleman been renting for 8 years. Another lady been renting for 7 years. If you're renting right now, add that money up. It'll make you really frustrated. There's nothing wrong with renting. There's nothing wrong with buying investment properties. There's nothing wrong with having people rent your property. It's a great way to get wealthy. But when it comes to buying and having shelter, there just is something about owning your own place with a little bit of space. You can have chickens, you can have a garden, you can have people over and friends. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I'm Wayne Turner. Thank you for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Be sure and subscribe to the channel. There's no cost. And if you like this video, you'll enjoy this one.